Good to go. Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order at 8 a.m. Morning, everybody. Do we have any public comment? Anybody waiting in the lobby, Bill?
There does not appear to be anybody in the meeting.
Thank you. Okay, administrative. So we've got the approval of the September minutes. Anybody have any corrections or comments?
I don't.
Okay, then I need a,
Can I make a motion to approve the minutes?
yes, you can.
Then I will.
I'll second.
Oh, there's Jeff. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Jeff. I don't know if you can hear us.
So I make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Can I get a second?
Yes, I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? All right, status of replacement for Ed Gillespie. Oh, the other thing I want to tell you is that, Amy, I did talk to her. She is, needs to take a pause, so we got to replace her too. So let's see, we're still working on this. Any other ideas about people?
That's the marketing, right?
Yeah, so we're, was talking to Laura before we started, but Lainey McHugh's son has expressed some interest in helping us with social media as sort of on a staff level, like Katie Dunn was going to do. So Laura's going to talk to him. I don't think he would. I don't think he's available for like a commissioner level. So we still need to. You know, it's if one of the three of us can't make a call, then we don't have a quorum anymore. So we got to try to find some more people. So if everybody can, you know, go through your file of facts.
You what?
Your Rolodex.
Oh yeah, yeah, I got one of those.
I think Filofax is even before Rolodex. We definitely need some more folks that are interested in this, and I need to double check the party makeup of the group, but I think we need independents and Republicans at this point. Remember, we can't have more than 3 of any party. I guess we could have 1 more Democrat. So,
and we want somebody who has marketing and or broadcast experience, correct?
yes, yes. And more, you know, technical expertise would always be good too. Okay, videographer status. Laura, you said that Nick had brought his video production class on a field trip, so we were hoping that might drum up some interest. And the AV club has been.
The AV club is back. It's actually new and approved. I can give you more details when we get down to the THS stuff, but I know I have been speaking to, I spoke to at least one of the students who's interested. So hopefully, I think there's a lot of interest at the student level in joining the club. So we'll see how many of those kids are interested in actually becoming student videographers. So I'm on that. They're going to meet today. I'm actually going to, I'm going to try to stay after to kind of be around and ask them and just sort of keep an ear out. So
Awesome.
I will keep you posted. Yes.
Okay, I sent out with the minutes in the agenda the 2025 meeting schedule. I had one question, which is the November 6th meeting. Now it'll be a local election in 2025. The way the dates play out, if we go every 6 weeks, November 6th is 2 days after the election. Do we want to move it to the week before to, you know, make sure we're all squared away on our election coverage? Because we usually do local election show. So what do you guys think?
I think we should. I mean, it's one of our kind of major, in quotes, events. A lot of people tune into it, so if it's just a week, I think we should move it. What is it, back? Must be.
Yeah, I agree. Anybody else, back?
I agree.
Makes sense.
Okay, so the 6th, so if we move it back a week, that would be the 30th. October 30th, so I'm gonna move this. Okay. Then I guess the other question is, should we move the December meeting back a week too? So there's not that much time that it's, just a little less time, and that week before Christmas always seems to be crazy for people. Any objections to that?
No, I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, so that would be the 11th. Okay, so I'm gonna make those adjustments. I kind of need to get this turned in. So can I get a motion to approve the list with the 2 adjustments that we just made to October 30th and December 11th?
So moved.
All right, I'm making the motion.
I'm seconding it.
Okay. With changes. All right, second Jens. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, excellent. Thank you, guys. All right, budget update. We're in good shape. It's still early in the year. I'm pushing the videographers a little more aggressively to get me their invoices. Just so we get things paid in a timely manner, because things are a little bit slow or in the finance department at the moment. So I'm trying to make sure our folks get their stuff in, so we're not waiting.
Kate, is there anybody you need me to nudge in particular?
Well, which one? Hold on. Dennis likes to send me invoices mid-month,
Okay,
like, whatever. Everybody else is really good about it being month end, so it increases the responsiveness. Now, I'm just sending an email out now, just at the end of the month to say, hey, get it in, so that seems to be
Okay.
helping. And I had to get Richie like a whole new set of printouts,
I had to print a whole bunch for him, yeah.
which I dropped off at his house last weekend, so I don't know what he was doing, but they were looking, rougher and rougher. And I can't send him an Excel spreadsheet because I just don't think he knows how to fill it out. So now he's got nice clean copies and it's all good. But everybody else emails me their invoices. He mails them to me, but again, that's fine. Okay. The one thing about the budget though is that we had equipment for the studio that we had put in the regular 2024-25 budget as a capital expense. Vicky pulled it out and said it would go, you paid for by the whatever's left of the ARPA funds. I guess there's a bunch of projects. And that I should wait. Now we're into the new fiscal year. What's happening with that? So we got a new quote from DNR that's been submitted. I'm waiting for additional direction on when I think the Board of Finance and the Town Council have to approve it. So we're hoping that we can get this wrapped up by the end of this calendar year is my goal, because we're operating a system that really has we don't have any ability to repair it or get it serviced. Right, Laura?
Correct. The UPC failed, so none of that racket works. Well, it's powered.
So any questions on that? Okay, good. Programming, Laura.
Programming, not a whole lot of new updates. Still, we're getting lots of sports covered, which is great and appreciated. We're also covering adult education things as we can, as we have permission from the speakers, library events, senior commission events. With regard to election programming, original programming, I created, excuse me, I created a promo piece for community and economic development for Restaurant Week. I'm presuming if they do Main Street Dollars again, we'll probably do something else for them again. These are all short pieces, like 5-6 minutes that just run between shows, and that Rena and her department post on their pages. So I'm hoping that Restaurant Week will be a success for them. Election programming, I am working with Katie Boland, and she had a student who was very gung-ho about some programming, and that's I'm waiting to hear back from him. He's working on it. He's a great kid. My suspicion is he had a specific idea in mind, and now he's finding out that it's hard to find the people. What he wanted to do is get students who were on either side of the political spectrum and have a respectful discussion about the issues. I think he's finding that it's harder than he thought it would be to get those students. And I don't know if he just didn't have another idea, was so set on that idea that he's trying to make it work. But I've been nudging him, like, what can I do to help you? Do we need to, think of something else? What can we do? So that's kind of where I am, unfortunately. But I'm, just it's contingent on what this student, is moving forth with. Katie Boland is in the loop. She's aware of all of it. We do have 7 Get Out the Vote promos that I've been cycling in through the on-air programming. And they did a great job. There's a whole bunch of just general election day, like awareness, how to vote. There's one on the Hillcrest referendum. There's another one on the ballot initiative for absentee voting. There's one on the state Senate candidates and one on the presidential candidates. So they did a good job of, covering a lot of different topics. So we have those.
But we're not doing anything actually election night, right?
No, there's really not much, we could give local things, but we're not planning on doing anything that night of.
Yeah, because we're not going to be able to declare winners on anything because none of our districts are exclusively in Trumbull.
Yeah. And a
So,
lot of it, and again, it's just going to be in-person voting. And it would kind of be, it would not be anything conclusive to, as you said, state results or even national results.
okay. All right, anything else on programming?
Well, again, with the AV club, I've spoken to them, they literally just got off the ground. So I'll be talking to them more about any, like cross platform projects. Oh, and there is a really cool project coming up. Christiana, who's the AHUS principal, contacted me. There's an organization called Violins for Peace, and they have procured string instruments from the Holocaust era. And they tour them around to schools around the country, and they're coming next month in November. And what they're going to do, I think this is really fascinating. Like, I got goosebumps thinking about it. They're going to let some of the orchestra students actually play those instruments. So what we are proposing to do, I spoke with Cristiano and I said, I will executive produce this piece and work with the students, the AV club students, to actually produce this. But we would like to get some of the students in the studio, the orchestra students in the studio, to play the instruments and record their performances, and then some interviews. How did it feel playing music on a piece that has such, you know, history in it, and then putting that together, because the organization itself has a short video that goes to the schools to play, and then attached to the back end of that would be this piece that the students and I put together. So that will
I think
be next.
that's a great idea.
I love
Very,
it.
yeah, very unusual. I mean, in a
Yeah.
good way.
Yeah, Chris came to me with that, and I thought, this is fantastic. Let's definitely do something, and I said to him, I would love to be able to put this on the station and just share that, because I think it's just something that's really, I think the community would be very interested in that.
Yeah.
So that is our super cool original programming coming up.
So are they
Great idea.
playing a concert? The people who bring in the instrument, is it an orchestra?
I don't know that they're musicians rather than curators, and more like preservationists to keep these, to keep these instruments in working condition. I don't really know much about them. I haven't done too much background work, but my understanding is I think they just bring the instruments, and it might be more to give the students the opportunity to,
Okay.
Do
I
we know
think
when
that would be a
that
little,
is?
I'm sorry?
Do we know when they're
It's
coming?
mid-November. It's around November 15th.
In the hallway, it's just probably, but-
I don't have it on
Understand.
hand. I have it in the studio, but I want to say it's around November 15th.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so anything else on the programming front?
Not that I can think of. We're still live streaming the football games. Hoping, there's a little more interest from the videographers this year, so hopefully we can get multiple camera angles. Mike King was kind enough to share with the station a sideline pass. FCAC now requires those on the sidelines. So we have one if, we want to get down there, if we have the videographers to go down on the sidelines and record. So thank you to Mike for that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to technical. So, we had Jeff providing some TLC to the studio and the ARPA funding. Are those are the two things? Ugh, I'm want to make sure I'm clear on what we're, the stuff that we. The DNR quote is for. It's the whole documentation review, system assessment, infrastructure upgrade, wiring and routing optimization, software updates, and a new management computer. So, and we're replacing the Pearl Nano streamer and recorder, the Netgear switch rack, fiber, UPS for control room, blah, blah, blah. So was there other things that were gonna be done like by Jeff's group, or Laura, can you just explain that?
Oh, you mean the students?
No, I had notes from the last meeting that Jeff, and I thought it was Jeff Van Steenberg, who was going to provide some TLC to the studio. But I want to make sure I understand the difference between the DNR project and anything that the school system's going to help us with.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Joe.
No, the only thing I recall is when DNR came, I wanted to have one of the new technician that we hired there, so we can be involved in, if Laura has issues, we can try to be more helpful. If we don't know the system at all, it's kind of hard to jump in and help. Where, if we at least are involved in when they're doing the documentation and replacing the equipment, and she's having a mission critical issue, we might be of more assistance. That's kind of the only thing I recall off that.
That makes.
That's how I
that makes
recall it
perfect
as well.
sense to me. Okay, so I will clarify. Okay, so you're gonna have one of your techs sort of shadow DNR to learn a little more about the system.
Yes, just to know, like I said, my new level 3 tech has experience with AV and stuff, so he's a little more adept in knowing the environment would definitely be, like I said, when sometimes she has something that's gotta, it's mission critical, we can be more helpful.
Love that. Okay, so is Sling Studio a separate issue?
Yes.
Okay. So give me the update on that.
Sling Studio, Knockwood, has still been working really well. That is our mobile production studio,
Yep.
and we use that to live stream events.
Yep,
We use that every week for the football games.
and for graduation.
And for graduation, it's been working wonderfully. The issue is, the company no longer exists. Presumably because what they created is now being sold by some other vendors for like 10 times what we paid.
10 times? 10
what we
times
paid
or
for it.
or 10 times less?
No, 10 times. We paid about $2,000 for the whole setup. I tried to look for comparable systems and it was like $20,000 to $40,000. Yeah.
That sounds weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really, or unless I'm not looking at it correctly, which is entirely possible, but
So it's still working,
Mhm.
but the company's out of business. So
There's,
we're
yeah,
worried-
there's no support. And if we were to find replacement parts, they would all be used. So,
So the only thing that the Sling Studio provides is wireless access from remote cameras to the hub, and then do you point a browser against the hub, and then you can create the switch between different cameras like that?
yes,
Okay,
yes.
because
And it's
we
a
were talking.
very, the difference between what I had put together for you, Jens, and Sling Studio is that Sling Studio is its own like ecosystem.
Yeah.
And it's very elegant and simple and everything works together. Whereas to replace it, which is not a problem to replace it, it's just that we would have to purchase each piece from a different manufacturer and put the system together ourselves. That's
Okay.
the difference.
I thought the Hollyland HDMI transmitters were part of the of that alternative,
Yes,
the
that's
replacement.
correct.
Okay,
That's correct.
so okay, I know I promised to come and see you at the studios, and I never do, but but I think we could talk about it because ATEM, the company that Blackmagic, sorry, the company that makes all the other stuff we use, have some like 4-port switches and some other stuff that it's really cost effective.
I would
that-
need to sit down and work that through only because they have the switchers, but then we would need, like, how do we put that together? Do we have a laptop as our, you know what I mean? You still need to see
Mhm.
what you're doing and what you're switching
So
to.
Jens, if you could get over there and
Yeah, I will.
talk in this more detail with Laura, because
Yeah.
everything's working fine now, but we need to have a plan if something doesn't. And whether we purchase some equipment now, we're not gonna get $20,000
No,
to do
it
anything,
wouldn't.
but I think we do need to invest some effort in trying to make sure if something happens, we have some idea of what we do.
Yeah.
Because we're
Okay.
also gonna need, and again, anything we move to, we're gonna need some time, to learn how to use it. And again, the same way that it took us all this time with trial and error to find out, what minefields to avoid with Sling Studio, we're probably gonna have to go back to square one and try to do
Okay,
the same with whatever new system we have.
just when I think. It's
Oh,
close to
always,
being out of
always.
the technical woods.
No, I have to laugh because literally every time I do something, it's something completely different than what happened last time.
Well, I'm just glad
Yeah.
we're thinking forward instead of in
Yeah.
a crisis, so thank you.
Right.
Just
Okay,
really,
so-
really quickly, how many cameras do we use max? Do we have 3 cameras? Do we have 4 cameras at
This
so
past
graduation, for instance?
graduation, we used 4.
4. Okay,
Normally,
Thank you.
we've used 3, but we happened to have 4 this past time.
got it. Thank you.
All right, any other technical issues or questions that we need to keep an eye on?
I know we had discussed, like, we had bought 2 new cameras for the studio, 2 new smaller cameras for the studio. And we had in the budget 2 more. Were those put into ARPA or were they put into this calendar year's budget, the operating budget? Do you remember?
They just disappeared, so I've got to double check my, just, hold on, just let me see if it's in here. Final budget.
And given the THS connection, you know, that's a question too.
No, we did not. We did not get approval for that. We had that costing about $5,000, right?
Correct.
All right, so we should talk about whether we've got room anywhere else, which is challenging, but we should talk, okay, so you're saying you still need, you'd still
I
like
don't,
to,
I don't know. I wouldn't say the cameras that we have work. They're just the very old, you know, 10-plus-year-old cameras. And
well, maybe what we should do is, I'm just gonna throw get me a bid, right? Get me a quote and I'll throw it at Maria and see if she's willing to tuck it in with the other stuff.
Okay,
Worth trying.
sure, I'll do that.
I have no idea like where they stand on how many, ARPA things, whether they overspent what's left, whether there's still any wiggle room for additional stuff. And they still haven't replaced Dan Martin, so, it's just a little harder to get information out of finance right now, because, he was critical.
Understandable.
Okay, so you're gonna get me a quote.
Yes.
Kate, the only other thing that I've got for technical is one of the microphones. This one actually, this one broke, stopped working. So we'll talk to DNR. They're ordering a replacement for us. I'll cover that in my budget, and it should be here this week.
Thank you, Bill. And then for some reason, I don't know if this is user error or if things are actually happening. As Bill, you know, I'm getting texts fairly frequently. Oh, the monitors aren't working, which is very vague. So
Yeah, I tested that last week,
Yeah.
and everything came out no problem. I think you just have to get the output.
Yeah, I was in too, and I didn't have problems either. So I don't know. Like I said, it could be user error, and it's also they're very vague. Sorry, I have the sun right in my face. They're very vague with what's happening.
So maybe there just needs to be some retraining.
Could be, yeah, or just a reminder.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we just need to make sure we've got a good procedure that,
And they pretty much do. I think it's just troubleshooting. You know, when things don't go according to
yeah.
steps.
Yeah, sometimes we add that to our procedures, just,
Yeah.
here's the 3 most common things that can go wrong and here's what you do about them.
Right.
I just received an email from First Selectman's office saying they're still waiting to confirm the ARPA meeting.
Okay, so just, it's not important in any reason, but like, how does one of those microphones break off?
It actually didn't break, it just stopped working, so when you,
Oh,
when you
okay.
activated it, the base turned on, but the microphone head that indicates on or off just never comes on. So I swapped it with the one next to it, and that port in the original seat works fine, but the microphone still didn't work on the second one, so
Okay. So it's not like
unfortunately,
somebody snapped it off or something?
no, it,
Okay. Good.
the microphone just
No,
stopped working.
it's mayhem in town council
Yeah,
chambers.
no, I removed it that way. There would be no question that it wasn't working.
And then Kate, just for, I know that there was an email from Mary, for clarification about the audio. There's only, and this is something that I don't know how to solve, because the videographers do their best and we do their best, but we can't control if and how boards and commissioners use the microphones. So for instance, there was a meeting where people were not using the microphones, even though they were sitting in chambers, and there was the ceiling microphone that picked things up. But again, it's not designed to be the primary receiver of audio.
Do they do that deliberately or just because they forget?
They forget, and then sometimes people will talk and they'll go on, and you know, in the background, I know because I've been there, the videographers are like pointing to the microphones, trying to make, you know, remind them, and they don't, you know.
Well,
I'll
let me
say
see if I can get a list from Alicia of all the clerks. Bye, thanks, Bill.
Bye, Bill.
All the clerks. And so I can send them a message and say, it's really important that you remind everybody at the beginning of the meeting to use the mics. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's one step we can take.
And you know, again, they're, for the most part, everybody is very good. It's just the boards and commissions that didn't normally sit, like sometimes meetings would sort of sit in a horseshoe, you know what I mean? They would pull out tables and they would sit in a horseshoe, and they wouldn't necessarily sit at the tables with the microphone. So I think it's just a new habit to build.
Okay, I will do that.
Thank you.
Okay, any other technical stuff?
Nothing I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay, marketing and PR.
Yeah, you had mentioned to me, I'm gonna reach out to Mike McHugh because he's expressed interest in helping us with social media, which is fantastic. I have a friend whose son was interested, but he had to put it on hold because he had taken a job as a full-time para and needed to, you know, and I understand, you can only
Yeah,
learn one new thing at a time, really, and do it well. So, you know, I just said, that's, you know, totally okay, understand, and, you know, stay in touch if need be. Katie had a friend in the industry who was looking for help, but she never reached out. So hopefully she did get something, you know, up in Boston industry specific. So,
okay, I'm gonna send you Mike's contact information. so you can-
I just saw Lainey texted it to both of us earlier.
Oh, super, okay.
So, yeah, so we're all set
You have it, all right.
Yep. on it.
Okay. If we could just get in some regular rhythm of,
Yes.
you know, posting to Facebook, posting to, you know, whatever. The same message twice, so, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
gonna be,
Yeah, as it is now, the schedule goes up every Wednesday, you know, a graphic of the schedule. It would just, even if Mike could just, you know, especially doing the football announcements, if he could put together just like a 30-second or 1-minute highlight reel of, you know, hey, did you see this really great catch? You know, you can watch the games, like that would be fantastic.
okay, or the, you know, don't miss or the home game on this
Yeah.
Saturday, and it goes out on Thursday or whatever.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, can't wait to see that.
Yes,
All
me
right.
too.
Trumbull High connection, you
Trumbull
talked
High
about Jeff
connection.
and the AV club, but Bill
It is
said-
no longer called the AV Club. It is now called Soaring Eagles Studios. They have jumped in with both feet. They've got lots of big plans. So hopefully they start things, you know, with little bites at a time. It's divided into 3 categories. So the first is Eagle News Network, and that's gonna be the daily announcements. Their initial goal is to produce announcements once a week on Friday mornings I believe they're going to live stream them. So, you know, they're gonna start slow, which is smart. So they're gonna start with that. And then there's another category that they're calling Aspire to Inspire, which is more an interview show, which is gonna be more in-depth pieces. And then there is another category for podcasts, and they're calling it Trumbull Talks Beyond the Nest. So, and I reached out. Yeah, it's funny because I heard that and I was like, why is that? And then, but anyway, nobody has been using that Chris studio. There have been no volunteers in it. So I went in and I found contact information and I reached out, and I spoke to I think it's in Windsor, the person who like manages it for Connecticut. And he said they were having a hard time finding volunteers. So I said, nobody's been in since COVID, you know, what's happening? And he said they've been having a hard time finding volunteers. The equipment's in great shape. I mentioned that the students were interested in using it for podcasting. He said he's going to come in, he wants to come in. I don't know when, because obviously it's not local, but he wants to come in and take a look at the studio. He said he's totally on board with, you know, helping the students any way they can. I said, as long as it doesn't mess up with, you know, because they're still transmitting a signal through that studio. I said, you know, I know nothing. I told him I know nothing about the technical. I don't know nothing about how it's connected, how any of this works. But
So this was the reading of the newspaper and stuff for the blind.
correct.
Okay.
So they're going to come in, this person is going to come in and take a look. And then, you know, hopefully I would love to just sit down with him and say, okay, this is how they can, you know, what can be used, what they'll need. It's a really nice setup. It's a tiny little space, but it's really cozy and it's well designed. You know, 2 desks face to face with a couple desk microphones, really nice mic
Well,
setup.
maybe he's hoping that out of this effort, we will get some volunteers to do.
You never know, because even if it's that, you know, even if it's volunteer, that's a great way to get some community
Well,
service.
maybe that's what we can do is do a promo on TCTV saying we're looking for somebody because, you know,
That's true,
maybe
yeah.
find somebody that'll come in the mornings and read whatever, the Connecticut Post, or I don't know what they used to do, but whatever.
Right.
And then still available for the students to do interviews or podcasts or whatever.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, so I will reach out to him and I'll mention, you know, I'll say, look, we are more than happy to, on our socials between shows, to share, you know, information about how to volunteer. And then this can, you know, we can all kind of help each other out.
Make sure you keep Todd Manuel in the loop on this, because this is the kind of thing he would love.
Yes.
And using that, that capability, I had completely forgotten about that studio.
You know, it's funny because I walked in, I'm like, I have it. The last time I saw somebody was when we had a commission meeting and one of the volunteers came like running in. I don't know if you remember, she came running in all like frazzled. She's like, my key doesn't work. So she needed to get in. That's the last time I saw anybody related with that.
So
So
what's the acronym again?
Chris, CRIS.
Wow, that would be very cool. Very cool.
Agreed.
Yeah, I just feel like we have an opportunity to take a huge step forward with Trumbull High right now.
Yes, and on top, so they, you know, they have all these, those are the 3 categories where they want to focus. It's great. It's just
I love it. I love the
I do
creativity of the
too.
names, like all of that is.
I do too. It's very cute. Like they're already focusing on the end product. We need to kind of like bring them back to step 1, because they need to learn how to use the equipment. They need to learn, like I was thinking about this because it's funny because they put together a promo for the announcements, and again, you don't know what you don't know. So it was very cute. So they took one of the old, first of all, they moved the anchor desk over in front of the green screen because they wanted to use the green screen to make it look like a studio. I'm like, you can still do a green screen with the black curtain, but anyway, so they set it up, and two of the students, did they sat at the desk, reading their little spiel, but they used the camera mic. So I'm like, okay, so we need to teach them, how do you create a shot? How do you light a shot? Because they didn't use the studio lighting. They found some of the portable lights and set those up, which is great. But, again, and they use the camera mics. They don't know what equipment we have. So it's
Right.
like, we need to show them how do you mic a studio? How do you, mic your talent? How do you check the audio? How do you, so it'll be fun. Like, they really need to start from ground zero on how to use all the equipment, but I think that'll be really interesting,
Yeah.
so like I
How
said,
many students do we have?
there were like 30, 35. I mean, there's a huge amount of kids interested. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because Dennis actually came up to me and said, how many people can fit in the studio? I'm like, why do you ask? So they have a ton. But we'll see what happens like when things actually start being created. So they
Fantastic.
are gung ho. They're super excited. Like I said, and what I said to Jeff Cochran, he's the advisor, he's the new tech ed teacher. So he teaches auto shop, wood shop, and video production. So I said to him, and what I'm going to do today, because I'm mostly like, the programming is ready for the week, but what I'm going to do over time is I need to take another inventory of the studio. And then I need to come up with a system where we, just to track equipment. Because I said to Jeff, I said,
Label everything, yeah.
if I've got videographers covering meetings, if we need cameras for certain things, I want to make sure we're not stepping on your kids' toes and vice versa. So, so I need to go through and do that and come up with a system of figuring out, who's got what, where it is, when it's coming back. That big whiteboard calendar that's outside of my, outside of my office, they took over, which is fine because I wasn't really using it. I'm like, okay, because I came in one day and it had Soaring Eagle Studios in bubble letters on it. I'm like, I guess that's the AV club. So, it's very cute. Like they've got like all their meeting dates and when there's no school and stuff. So they've been starting in the auto shop and then moving into the studio. Like they moved in last week just to show them and discuss the different portions. So I just kind of need to let everybody know, okay, here, this is what this is what these are, and just sort of lay down some ground rules, because again, I don't think they're going to come in and start trashing equipment. I really don't. They all want to do this, but at the same time, they're teenagers,
Right.
and I need to let them know, this is delicate stuff, and I'm sure they're all going to say, yeah, I know. But, again, it's like when you take in little things, when you unplug an XLR cable, you don't yank it, you know what I mean? Like little things, like how do you do this? How do you do that? How do you use the equipment so it lasts a long time? And they don't have a budget, but they were talking about like fundraisers for, whatever things they might need. Like, I don't know what they were thinking, but, literally it's been one meeting. So I'm gonna, when they meet every Thursday. So what I'll do is I'll try to, normally I try to get in early and get out. Thursday, I'll stay a little later so I can kind of stay with them and sort of, Jeff will be there too, I'm sure, but just to kind of be there to help out where I can.
All right, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited for them. And then
Finally.
their first job is the Violins for Peace piece.
Okay.
And then Mr. Ciano said to them at the meeting, which I thought was really cool and smart, he said, now that you guys are here, and once you guys get up and running, be aware that now you're going to get asked to do things like this, which is great.
Yeah.
And then I said to the the kids, like one of the girls who's running the podcast portion came down and sat with me, you know, for a while, and I gave her a little tour of the studio. I showed her some things. And you know, she's interested in being a videographer, but I also said to her, I would love to work with you guys. And, you know, when it's possible, you know, find ways to showcase, and I said this to the kids at the meeting too, to find ways to showcase their finished products as well. So I think that interview, that Aspire to Inspire piece would be a natural place.
Yep.
Do
Awesome.
they have any experience already in video production or?
Just on their phones.
I do
Yeah,
not
on the
think
phone.
so. I do not think so. I think the girl who is sort of spearheading the Eagle News Network, I know she's been interested, but I've not seen her at the studio, and I don't think she's experienced, because she had asked me, she's like, what are the jobs in a studio that we need? So I don't think I think their enthusiasm far
Yeah.
Exceeds their knowledge.
matches their experience level.
Well, you know, youthful enthusiasm makes up for a lot of things, a lot of
Yes.
shortcomings.
Sure.
It really does.
Oh yeah,
It's
absolutely.
just
And
my personal experience with, you know, trying to teach kids how to do things right is that you can't. I mean, initially,
No.
they want to do it. It's the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? The less time you've spent on something, the more confident you feel. And
Yeah.
so it's really difficult because you don't want to stop them, but on the other hand, you want them to have something that looks. So you need the patience. You need the patience of an angel for sure.
Yeah, and it's funny because I need to walk that line between, like, you know, like I want to help them get better, but at the same time, like, because it's funny, I don't know how to approach that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a high school teacher. I was certified to teach elementary. So like if these were elementary kids, it'd be a little
Mhm.
different. But you know, I want to show them the video and say, okay, what would you want to change? How would you want to do this better? Here are things that can be done.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't know how open they're going to be to that, which is probably not at all. So we'll see how it goes.
I think it's a good first step. I mean, it's just having people excited about
Yeah.
it.
And just
They're
making
really
sure that
excited about it.
our
Yeah.
equipment is protected.
And I'm glad, yeah, that's exactly. I'm glad that it's primarily student run, which is great. But again, as Kate had said, like I kind of need to lay some ground rules too, as far as the space and the equipment. Like, you know, you are welcome to use this stuff, but you got to put it back where you found it.
Exactly where you found it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly where you found it. Because again, like I had come in, like one day I came in and like, again, things are moved all over the place. I'm like, that's okay. But you know what I mean? Just like,
But I think you're gonna have to be pretty strict with the rules initially, because
yes,
otherwise it's a suggestion, not a rule. So
right.
clamp down on it early. Say, I don't want to like not have to be here every time, or not let you in the studio unless I'm here to make sure that you treat everything properly. So
Right.
that's why these rules are here, so that we all have this space and this equipment to use. You know.
Right. And I also, you know, and also just for safety reasons, like, you know, some of the things, like they had moved things, but again, it's like, it's not for being disrespectful or malicious. It's just like I said, you don't know what you don't know.
Wanted to, yeah.
Yeah. And again, like the thing I need to just sort of also emphasize with them is safety. Like if you leave a light in the middle of a path where somebody's likely going to walk, you know, we don't want people knocking things over by mistake or getting hurt because they tripped over. I can't tell you how many times I've tripped over cables in that studio, you know, just from personal experience. And
we don't want OSHA showing up.
No. And I don't want anyone getting hurt. That's not, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, but you're right. I do need to be a stickler, you know, for like safety and the rules for a little bit.
Okay. All right, that's excellent. That is really good news.
Yes.
All right, any other topics for discussion today?
No.
My email is blowing up right now, so okay, so our next meeting is December 5th. I'm going to reissue the meeting dates and then give it to Patty to post on the town website. And I'll get these minutes out to you guys ASAP because there are some action items for people. Anything else we need to talk about?
Not from me.
All right, great. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for your time. Have a great warm day and put a sweater on, Vince, would you?
Yeah.
Thanks, Mom.
Okay,
Okay,
meeting
bye.
is over at 8:50. Okay,
Okay,
thanks.
Bye.
Bye, Laura,
Bye.
you got the rest of this?
Okay, I'm not
Thanks.
recording anymore.
Bye.
All right, yeah, so Jens, let me know when you want to come in.
I will. I
Yeah.
promise. I promise.